guys, welcome back. Per usual, I'm Jazz, aka Flirting with Pages. It is the middle of the year already. We have already gone through 6 months and it has been quite a ride. I have read 38 books so far. Most of them are mangas, but we will talk about that later. So yes, I will say that most of the books that I have read have been really good, but it being the middle of the year does call for our mid-year freakout tag. So let's go ahead and start with the questions. Just because I tend to ramble, I'm trying to keep this video short. This is my fourth time recording this. I'm gonna lose my mind. So yes, let's go ahead and just jump right into the questions. Question number one, we have best book in 2024 so far. I chose Outdrawn by Deanna Gray for this category. I scavenged through every single book I read at the beginning of the year and I chose Outdrawn. It was that good. Honestly, it had me giggling, blushing. I was smiling the whole entire time through the book. These characters had depth to them. They literally, you could read the character growth and it was very much there. I know some books tend to kind of miss character growth, but this one 100% had character growth and I loved it for that. This is my first book by Deanna Gray that I have read. Reading her writing, it was so freaking beautiful. First, let me tell you what the book is about before I get ahead of myself. Here we follow Noah and Sage. Both have been rivals with each other since college, so very much don't like each other, competing with each other. Fast forward to now though, both of these characters are having to work with each other as head artists trying to revive an old comic. They are still competing with each other. They are working on some side comics which also are pitted against each other. So yes, you get very much forced proximity, hardcore rivals to lovers, and I love it for that. And throughout the book as you're reading, you also get these doodles. I'm trying to choose one that's not a spoiler, I guess, but you get these cute little doodles. You get these cute little doodles. Deanna Gray's writing is so beautiful. I am a visual reader, so the fact that she wrote these two artists, they just love looking at each other through an artistic lens. So they wish they could paint their body movements, the way they explain their body language, the way they move, the way, you know, their faces just like basically show different emotions. She explains it so beautifully that I can envision it so much, and I loved it for that reason. Next, we have best sequel in 2024 so far. I chose two books for this one. First, we have This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This is the second book to Before I Let Go. And guys, when I tell you, I loved Before I Let Go, obviously. I loved this book so much. The undertones of women helping women, you know, you have her friends and just women pulling themselves out of situations and putting themselves first, but also caring for others. It is something so beautiful, and I just really loved the themes within this book. Definitely want to say to check the trigger warnings first. I will say a lot of people tend to describe this as a romance. I wouldn't consider it a romance book. I consider it more women's fiction. You get to read as Soledad is balancing, trying to care for her kids, try to deal with his love interest, and also try to make something of herself since she had depended on her husband for such a long time. You very much get to see her just overall try to find her passion for something and thrive, and I did really love that. The second book on this list is The Roommate Risk by Talia Hibbert. You guys should know that I love Talia Hibbert. Her sequels always hit. I did love Eve Brown. Loved that book. That was the third book in the series, and I'm pretty sure The Roommate Risk is the second book. I think it might be the third book, but it's a sequel nonetheless. Here we follow Jasmine and Raul. They have been friends for 7 years. It is a dual timeline, so you get to experience the 7 years all throughout the book. It kind of interchanges from past to present, and you're piecing together the relationship between these two characters, which I love so much, guys. I just love it when authors do that. If you guys have any other books that do that, definitely recommend them to me. I will check them out. You get to see Raul pine for Jasmine so much, which I love. And the reason why present time is so tense is because Jasmine's house or apartment was flooding, I think. I don't really remember that part, but I'm pretty sure something was wrong with her room and she decided to room with Raul instead in his place, and it has caused very much some tension between these two. So yes, our next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to. I chose two books for this one specifically. First, we have Oye by Melissa Mogollon. I do have an arc for this book. Very excited to start it. Heard nothing but raving reviews so far. The little synopsis says, a coming-of-age comedy, a telenovela-worthy drama, a moving family saga, all in a phone call you won't want to hang up on. So honestly, just by that little tiny part, very excited to start it. I do love the cover. I feel like it looks so beautiful. The second book on this list that I have is Isabel and the Rogue by Liana de la Rosa. This is the sequel to Anna Maria and the Fox. Loved Anna Maria and the Fox. I am ready to dive right back into this series. And the little synopsis for this one is, when a Mexican heiress defies Victorian society to protect her country, a British war hero makes it his new mission to protect her. We, like I said, follow Isabel. I know she is more of the quiet sister. She loves books, and I am excited to read her story. I feel like I'm going to love her story, her character, the tension between these two. I know in the first book we left off with Isabel kind of lurking in his study, kind of searching for things, looking for different stuff in there, and he catches her. So I'm very excited to read this one and see where we go with these two characters. Question number 4, we have most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have one specific book on here, which is The Next Best Fling by Gabriel Gomez. Since I said we are already in July, I have this book on here. When I made this, I hadn't read it yet, but because this is my 4th time trying to film this, in that time span, I have already finished the book. I devoured this book in a day. It almost felt like a whole entire day. So yes, I love this book so much. Definitely recommend it. This is Gabriela Gomez's debut novel. We follow two broken hearts decide that the best way to get over their first loves is with a no strings attached relationship in this spicy and charming debut romance. I will say that I didn't really find it as spicy, but it was a cute read. They have a cute dynamic. Two other books that I have on this list. One comes out later this month, aka still in July. We have Yours Finally by Leonor Solis. You guys know I love Leonor Solis. I rave about her books all the time. We have her next book, which is Yours Finally. I'm very excited for this one. Do love the cover so much. The paperback is already out and the ebook is coming out later this month. I know she tries to include Latina characters as much as she can in her books, and this time both main characters will be plus size. So yes, love her writing, love the representation she puts in these books. Very excited for this one. I do have the arc and I will be starting it when I finish the book that I'm currently reading. So last but not least, we have The Palace of Arrows by Caro de Robertis. I think that's how it is pronounced. This is a sapphic retelling of Psyche and Eros. I am honestly excited to read this one. I also have the arc. This one comes out in August. The cover of this book is so beautiful. Very excited. Kind of debating if I want the physical copy for this book. Not really sure because I have the ebook. I should chill out on buying books. Up next, we have Biggest Disappointment. I chose two books for this category. First, I want to talk about You Never Forget Your First by Millie Perez. This was the first book I read this year. I had a lot of friends that did really love this book and that were hyping it up, and when I read it, I hated the female main character so much. The female main character is a Latina character, and you know, I definitely love the representation that was in this book and all that, but the character herself just made me kind of hate her sometimes and the decisions that she was making, which I find is very common in me, I guess. Sometimes I don't know, maybe I overthink things too much. I have no clue. We follow Amelia, and basically her life is at rock bottom at this point. She has gone through hardship with her mother passing away, and we also have her and what her ex-boyfriend has done, I believe. I can't really remember. But she rekindles with her brother's best friend. I didn't really like this book. It didn't really make an impact in my reading or anything. So yes, I will consider this a disappointment. Next on this list, I have Thirst by Marina Yuschek. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. I will put the cover right here so you guys can see the last name. But this book, it is a translated version. It is written by an Argentinian author, and everyone was excited for this book, and the minute I saw everyone also being disappointed by this book, I already knew I was also going to be disappointed. I also decided to just go ahead and read this book and just experience it for myself. I was in fact disappointed. The first half, this book is divided in two halves. The first half follows our vampire main character, just her trying to, you know, fit in as a vampire in this society that's growing and changing. So yes, you get to experience that. I didn't really like the first part. I don't know, it's just our vampire character. I didn't like her. I didn't really like her. Then in the second half of the book, you get to meet our human main character. Closer to the end, you get to see how these two lives are intertwined with each other. I did love that part. With our human main character, you get to talk about grief. You get to read about everything that she's going through. I loved the second half of the book. It talked about death, it talked about grief, and that's the part that I really like was liking the most, I guess. And then the ending was really good. I will say that. I really did love the ending and the way it just like kind of abruptly ends. I love those type of endings. Next on this list is Biggest Surprise. I decided to choose The Girl, the Ring, and the Baseball Bat by Camille Gomera Tavares. I judged the book by the cover. I didn't expect much of it, but guys, when I tell you this book was so good, it had some impactful lines, and the themes that were included in this book just made it honestly worth it. I remember while reading it, I was like, this is an impactful book. It is a YA book, just a little reminder. This book is divided into 3 parts. Each part kind of corresponds to a character and their talismans. You get magical realism in this book. You follow Rosie, Caro, and Zeke as both are dealing with stuff and then find their talismans that help them come to terms with what is happening in their lives. Rosie and Caro are sisters. Their relationship with their mother is very different. So yeah, I did really love different topics. One of my favorite topics in this book is actually about the public school system. It was such an experience reading it. Definitely recommend it if you love stuff like that. Next on this list is the Demon Slayer manga. Guys, I decided to buddy read the Demon Slayer manga with a friend, and when I tell you I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, I am having fun with it. The next question is favorite new author, debut, or new to you. I have 5 authors on this list. First, I have G. Elena. I decided to go ahead and pick up Illicit Acquiescence. I loved the book. Did I specifically love it because it was inspired by Oscar Isaac? Yes. I've heard that the second book in that series is like 10 times better than the first one, so I'm very excited to start that one. I also read Velvet Rose by her, which is a prequel to her new series that she is coming out with. Next, I have Viano Niomo. She wrote Just for the Cameras. I loved Just for the Cameras. It is a wide shoe story, and all of the characters honestly were so good. The writing in that book was so good. I love the themes about it, and I definitely want to check out more books by Viano. Then I also have Elizabeth Acevedo. I read The Poet X earlier this year, and it made me bawl my eyes out. Guys, I loved that book so freaking much. I related to it a little bit too much, and just I do really love that book. I already have another book by Elizabeth Acevedo lined up to read, so yes, I'm very excited to start something else by her. Do want to read her backlist. To no one's surprise, I also put Deanna Gray on this list. Like I said, Outdrawn was such a great book. I want to read more by Deanna Gray. I know she has a hockey series out. I think it's a duology, and yeah, I'm very excited to read something else by her. Did love Outdrawn a lot. I've already stated that a lot of times, and you will hear it more times throughout this video. So yes, want to try out something by Deanna Gray also. And last but not least, I have Jessica Salgado. She is a poet. She wrote Corazon. I loved it. She's a Salvadoran author, which I loved even more. Did really love all her poems and just her writing, the way she puts her heart out there. Definitely want to check more of her poetry out. Next, we have newest fictional crush. Guys, you know I could not choose one. I had to go ahead and choose 4. We will get through these 4 fairly quickly. Some of them I have talked about so far, so I'm going to start with those 2. First, we have Noah Blue. I love her so freaking much. Honestly, she had me giggling and like falling in love with her. Loved her so much. I also added Raul to this list, aka the roommate risk. His character and the way he was pining for Jasmine the whole entire time. Plus my name is Jasmine, so I do really love his character. I also went ahead and added Julian Lopez, the male main character from Love Redesigned. I loved him a lot and how much he cared for the female main character in the book, how much he was willing to care for her, put everything aside for her, even try out new things that he said he would never try out just for her. I do really love his character, and the dynamic between those two was just, I loved it. And last but not least, I have Max, aka Maximiliano by Leonor Solis, yours forever. When I finally got to read Max and get to know him and stuff like that, I was like, I need a man like this. I need a man like Max. Just by seeing her, just by spending these like 5 to 10 minutes getting to know her, not even getting to know her, just having one banterish conversation with her, I'm going to love her and I'm going to fall in love with her. I honestly loved how much he loved the female main character, and yes, he is on my new fictional crush list. Next, we have newest favorite character. I have 4 characters on here. I will get through these fairly quickly, hopefully. First, we have Isa from Squire. I did really love the growth in her character. You could really see her morality and what she believed in, which led her to basically change what she was fighting for. The book, just overall, I loved the topic, and I loved how it told the story and how it relates to things that are going on now. Next, I have Luca Prince from Just for the Cameras. I related to him a little bit too much. I loved his character so much, and you know, just the way he loved both of the characters in Just for the Cameras, and just his character overall. I really loved him. I loved the way he was written, loved everything, you know, the way he dealt with it, the way, you know, his character grew. I don't know, I love him so much. I added Noah Blue to this list again. Guys, I already talked about her. I loved her character, you know, the way she dealt with her family also, and the growth that she had, the way she dealt with stuff, and, you know, learning to put herself first instead of putting her art first. Did really love that. Last but not least, I also have Xiomara Batista on this list, aka our main character in The Poet X. Xiomara's character and the way she's also dealing with, you know, her family, specifically her mother and her father, who is like not there but also there. I just really loved her character and the way she was dealing with all of it. I feel like it was really explained well how a teenager would react to certain things. Talking about Poet X, it also leads us into our next question, which is book that made you cry. This book made me bawl my freaking eyes out. I could not sit there and not cry. At the end, I was just bawling my eyes out over and over and over again. And like I said, I resonated way too much with this book. Loved it so much. Had me crying so freaking much. The way how you get to read the story, it is a novel in verse. So you are reading her journal, which she uses poetry to express how she's feeling, and the way she just expresses everything, you know, her ties with her mother, how she feels about her father, her brother. I really loved it. I really love this book. Definitely recommend it. It is a YA book and it is poetry. Next, we have book that made you happy. Guys, I added Outdrawn to this list. I've already talked about it. I'm not gonna add anything else other than it did make me really happy. So yes, I added Outdrawn, but I do have two other books on this list. X's and O's by Amy Lee was such a wholesome book. I was giggling and smiling the whole entire time. It was such a cute book. We follow Tara, which is a romance novel obsessed book influencer, which is relatable, guys. Same. She does revisit all of her exes to find either her second chance romance or to just find out why they didn't proceed a relationship with her. And she's trying to find her future someone, and maybe she can find it through a second chance romance, all with the help of her new roommate, which is, I can't remember his name, Trevor. The way they first meet, honestly, was so hilarious, and the way he falls for her is also so cute. It is a roommates to lovers story, so yes, he's helping her, you know, with her exes, but discovers that he maybe has a thing for her. The last book on this category is Yours Forever by Leonor Solis. I honestly was so happy while I was reading this book. It was such a cute book. Per usual, Leonor's books are slow burns, so this one was a slow burn. You get to follow Max, like I mentioned, and Ava. Both of them get accidentally married in Vegas, I think. Either way, both get married in Vegas, and Max comes looking for her in her small town. You get to experience why she doesn't really believe her relationship with Max will survive or, you know, continue to be a thing. But Max is just proving himself over and over and over again that he will not leave her. They agree to stay married to help Max with a problem he's having with his father. It was just a wholesome book. It was very cute, and it did make me very happy. We're close to the end, guys. We're close to the end. The next category is most beautiful book you thought or received. I'm going with the or received part. I chose The Sunbury Trials by Aiden Thomas. My sister went ahead and bought it for me. She did hear how much I have been wanting to read this book. And I believe the second book, the next book to the series, is coming out later this year. So I need to get to it. I need to go ahead and read it. It is a fantasy book, once again by a Latina author. Guys, Latina authors, I love them so much. This is a Mexican-inspired fantasy novel. Some ways that I've heard it be described was very much, I guess, Percy Jackson meets Hunger Games. I think that's the way people were describing it, which made me intrigued. I don't read a lot of fantasy, but I've been seeing this one everywhere. It's got Mexican rep, Cuban rep, trans rep. It looks good. It sounds good. I've seen nothing but raving reviews about it, so I am really excited to read it. The only problem that I'm having is that I don't have the color tabs that match this book. I ran out of this color scheme, so I want to wait till I get tabs because I know I want to tab this book like crazy. This cover is beautiful. This book is beautiful. Can't wait to start it. Books you need to read by the end of the year. I have a stack right here that I'm going to try and get through as fast as I can. First, I have Solito by Javier Zamora. This book, I started it and I kind of paused for a minute to gather my thoughts. This is a memoir. It follows Javier when he's 9 as he's getting ready to journey across from El Salvador to the United States. It just tells his journey overall, the people he met while he was on this journey and what it was like, what he went through. Just hearing the journey of a Salvadoran moving to America and migrating to America just is an impactful story, and it's something that I have been looking for, and I feel like I wanted to take this book slow, which is definitely what I'm doing, and I definitely want to finish the second part of this book in the second half of the year. I do want to finish this book before the year ends, so yes, my sister read it. She wants me to hurry up and finish it, and I really need to finish it. Next on this list, I have And Burn the Ashes by Saba Tahir. Do have this one planned as a buddy read with one of my friends. Very excited to get into this one. Like I said, I haven't really read as much fantasy, so I'm really excited to dive into this book and into this world, this series. Next, I have Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. I did say I had another book by her that I had planned to read before the end of the year. I do want to read this one before the year ends. It sounds like an exciting story. It is her debut adult novel, so I'm very excited. It says, the story of one Dominican American family told through the voices of its women as they await a gathering that will change their lives. It has magical realism, I believe, in it. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to start most of these books, guys. This next book has been on my TBR for such a long time. I even have the second book to this series, and I keep saying I'm going to read it, and I never do. It is actually on my TBR for this month. Hopefully I will get to it, but it is Second Chance at Rancho Lindo by Sabrina Soule. I have heard good things about this book. It says, this sexy cowboy is nothing but a complication, but he's also impossible to resist. I think this one is enemies to lovers. This cover keeps throwing me off though. It is my first ever mass paperback. Very small. Have to get used to how tiny this book is. Last on this list is, of course, A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. The minute I saw she was releasing a new book, I got so excited. Definitely had to go and get it. Finally found one. It is Ashley Poston. I love her writing so much. I've rated her last 2 books 5 stars, so I'm hoping that this one will also be 5 stars. I'm hoping I also love this one too. And in this one we follow Elsie, who I'm pretty sure is having kind of a rough time in life right now, and she randomly gets sucked into a book that she was reading. So yes, this one sounds good. Very excited to see what Ashley Poston does with this book. Do love how she, includes little magical realism into all of her books. Very excited for this one. Can't wait to start it. That is everything I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched till the very end, thank you so much for staying here. I know I tend to talk a lot. I tend to ramble, and this was quite a long video. I have been trying to keep my videos short lately. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you watched for this long, drop an emoji down, your favorite emoji, or recommend me a book or something like that. I don't know, just put a comment there, a little emoji, a heart if you want, whatever, one of your favorite emojis. I keep talking. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Finally got through it.